Welcome back to the studio, Professor John Fischetti. Wonderful to see you.
Great to see you, Sarah, in real life.
I know, and you're wearing a fabulous tie today. Can I just say it's an Indigenous tie? It's very
It's from a
swiffy.
beautiful Indigenous artist.
It's
from New
beautiful.
South Wales.
It looks fantastic. Now, we're talking HSC. It started yesterday, English, which is such a huge subject. The whole state sat it yesterday, You were telling me. I'm feeling for these students because they've really had a rough ride doing year 11 and then 12. So their senior years studying for the HSC because, of course, you begin your prep in year 11. What a rough time for them. So disjointed.
Almost surreal that they'd be sitting the test after all the ups and downs of last year, year 11, and this year, year 12, Sarah, where there's really nothing to say but congratulations for the resiliency, the fortitude of the students, their families, and the amazing teachers who have gotten them ready. I'm really confident about this year 12 class. They didn't sign up to be year 11 and year 12 doing what we've been doing the last 2 years, but I think they're going to be fine in two ways. Number one, they're going to do fine. They're going to do as well as they would have expected to do with or without the pandemic. That's the good news out of last year's data that came out of Victoria because they were locked down similarly to us.
So they haven't fallen behind academically.
They're going to do as well as they would have done.
Okay.
It's hard for them to believe it, but they're going to be fine. The real key is they keep their faith up and just do their best and do what a wonderful colleague of mine's daughter did. She watched a movie with her friends the night before the English exam. She was ready. They'd studied and done some more. They just took a break.
Yep.
Pacing yourself through this time, eating well, sleeping right, feeling positive that it's probably going to go well. If it turns out fine, you get your ticket to where you want to go. If it doesn't, you know what? There's all the options in the world out there if it didn't go as well as you hoped.
And that's what I want to talk about. And just funny that you mentioned there is a saying that, you know, what you don't know by the night before, you're not going to retain. So really, you should just give yourself a break. But when you sit that last exam, and I know I've still got vivid memories of completing that final exam and walking out and breathing again. But it is done, and it's not the end of the world. And I think that is something that we forget as students. You think, oh my gosh, if I don't do well in this, then my life is over. That is just not the case, and more so now than ever.
Absolutely. There's this thing we talked about last year in a research project I'm doing with wonderful colleagues from around the country, where you can actually predict the results from year 11, and you don't really need the HSC. A lot of that's been done this year where students are getting early offers. Our university and all of them in New South Wales have actually gone out and early offered or are just about to make early offers to students who appear to be the top students. And a principal can make a recommendation for someone by writing about, let's say they had a major loss in their family in year 9 and they were down and out for a little bit, but they've come back and they're doing well. The marks may not show it, but they can write, and they're getting admitted.
Wonderful. Offer
recommendations from their principal. Other students are doing portfolios in different schemes to get admitted to university, which allows them to provide the actual evidence of their assessments and their plan for the future. So right now there's maybe a dozen ways to go, and if none of that really works, there are enabling pathways that give you the chance to get, like the booster shot of Pfizer will give us all a chance to just get that literacy and numeracy geared back up. And it might be a few weeks, it could be a few months, but with those skills, you'll actually be able to go straight into the university of your choice. So in that sense, the sky's the limit. The door's wide open. Don't let this be the make or break, like survival of the fittest moment, because it really isn't.
That is wonderful to hear. And look, going through the HSC in a pandemic, they're going to have a set of skills and resilience that they probably wouldn't have had previously, which is going to set them up for the workforce and for life.
And the flexibility to do things both online, in person, with your friends, and on your own gives them skills that are more like the workplace of the 21st century than the 20th. That's a pretty good set of skills. For the top students who are going well, this is like too easy. I'm really worried about the vulnerable kids, the students with special needs, and I'm so glad that we were able to be back and do this face-to-face because some of them get a little extra time or a little extra support, and they have their mentors, their colleague teachers with them so that they can get through this without doing this alone. And I'm proud of the state for trying to make it happen. I know there's been lots of controversy. Should we sack the test? And around the world, there's 4 different versions of what's happened. But New South Wales, I think, should be proud that we'll get this done. Students still have many options. And I think for next year, year, really learn from this about the importance of the test and put it in perspective.
All right. Now, John, very quickly, before we let you go, a bit of a technical question. When you go in to sit your exam, my dad wouldn't let me leave early ever. He was the principal, so nerd alert here. He said you use every bit of time, you go back over. Do you recommend that now? Or if you're done and you're happy and you've still got a bit of time, but you're confident, you can just leave now?
I think rushing is a mistake after all this time. Taking your time, pacing yourself, not worrying if others are leaving, and making sure you're strong to the finish, particularly in any written component of an exam, any mathematics component. You really want to do your best at the end. That's like running a 1,600-meter race. You only really remember it for that last 100 meters. So take your time. If it takes you 20 extra minutes, no worries, and breathe through it, particularly breathe through the mask.
Good advice. Yes, good luck with the mask and good luck to all of our HSC students. Well, thank you very much, John
Thanks,
Fischetti.
Sarah.
We
Great
will
to
chat
see
with
you.
you soon. Yes, you too.
2NURFM, a broadcast service of the University of Newcastle.